real steady. Glass break plug.
And welcome to the Ascend Room Conversation episodes where we talk about things where women have transitioned, they've transformed, they have done some amazing things, and it doesn't come without having courage. And so today's guest is Dr. Alisa Carter, who walked away from corporate America to really, walk in purpose. It wasn't a weak thing that she did. It was a very bold and courageous thing. And so we're here to hear her story. And I think it's one of impact, it's one of faith, and she carries a lot with her. And so I am so excited to welcome her to the Ascend Room Conversation. Welcome, Dr. Alisa. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you. For those who may not know who you are, can you give an introduction of, some of the things that you do?
Well, my name is Dr. Alisa Carter. I am an ICF certified life coach and business strategist. I am the founder and owner of Live Well Coaching and Consulting, the president of Elevation Collective, which is a nonprofit, and I am the president of the Grand Rapids Club of Business and Professional Women's Club Incorporated, as well as a pastor's wife.
All right. In other words, she's the boss. Thank you so much for being here. So tell us what was happening back in the day of when you stepped away from corporate America. What was going on in your spirit? I know something had to been going on.
Yes, there was a lot going on at that time. We were right in the midst of the pandemic. It was in 2020. And I worked at that time for one of the largest healthcare organizations in Western Michigan. And working in the C-suite, you see a lot of things that most people don't. And during that time, we were raising names, leaders were raising names for people that unfortunately were going to be exiting the organization.
Okay. And so at this time, as these names were coming up, was your name on that list?
Well, eventually, yes, my name did end up on the list. And I have to be honest, I never expected it. And so the day the email came through at the time, we were all working from home because the world was shut down. And it was right after a Teams meeting. And the email came through, as it did every day, with a list of about 40 names. This list was a little different for two reasons. Number one, the list normally just had a list of people who were going to be notified. And the thing that was different was at the bottom of this list, there were 3 names with 3 R's on them. That had not been seen before, but one of those names was mine.
Okay.
And so that was breathtaking, to say the least.
So thinking back at that time, to get an email like that, how did you feel? How did you feel seeing your name down there?
I was in shock. I was devastated. And I can remember reading the email and hearing my phone ring, right? Because at that moment, the HR rep realized, along with my executive, that the list had gone out and I was still on the mailing, right? So it was a really devastating moment in my life. Some people might say that kick in the gut,
right?
And then having to have the conversation.
So how long had you been working when all this happened? Because you said this happened during COVID 2020. Mm-hmm. How long were you in that C-suite of employment?
I had been with this organization for 34 years.
Okay. She started when she was 12. 34 years. Oh, my goodness.
I was in high school when I started working for them. Wow. And I worked my way up. I went to school and I worked my way up through the organization. And so, yeah, I had been there for 34 years, more than half of my life. I had given to this organization. And one of the hardest things was that call, because on that call, my executive started with, I had no idea you've been here that long, right? And she explained that the HR rep was there, and the conversation switched from her to the HR rep, and she just said, we do want to extend full retirement to you, which has not been common practice through this process, and that I know was God. And then she said you would be done as of Friday. You would be officially retired. Now, this was Wednesday morning.
No.
And so, 3 days.
Wow. How do you not know somebody has been around in an organization for 34 years? That is very surprising for that to come out of, their mouth to say that they didn't know that you had been there that long.
Well, it's because the organization was so large, and I never stayed in the same place long. I worked probably about average 5 years in a department. And whenever I saw something, whenever I saw something better that had better benefits or more money, I went after it. So I moved various campuses, and I had various roles within the organization. So,
And so this company, I know we're not naming names or anything, but is this a company that is a national company, or is it just a regional Midwest type of company?
It's a regional Midwest company. Just has a number of campuses throughout the Midwest.
Okay. All right. Well, you receive this news, and now where does that take you? I know you had to have a moment to digest everything because it's Wednesday, and then all of a sudden Friday, your life has changed. Tell us about that transition.
Yeah. So that was, like I said, I had been there for 34 years. That was a part of me. That job was a part of who I thought I was, because I literally grew up in that organization. And so I went through what many people go through when they lose a loved one. It started with anger, because I felt initially like, I gave these people over 3 decades of my life. And at that moment, I felt like it was discounted to 3 days. Right. And so there was some bitterness. I felt myself slipping into a dark place and going inside. And that was tough. Right. And I had served in ministry for probably about 20 years, and started with urban youth ministry. So I found myself slipping into a place where I've helped walk people out of, right? And that was tough because life was going on. I had a family, so in the morning I could get up, put my smile on, and have everyone get to where they needed to be. And then when the house was empty, I'd turn off all the lights, I'd close the blinds, and I would go to bed. Yeah.
So after the kids got off to school, that was the day. And it kind of like takes you there when you lose someone. Like you said, it's mourning a loss. So what did you do, and how did you get past that? Because I know you didn't stay there because you helped so many others. And sometimes we go through things to help others.
Yeah.
And then now it's your turn.
Yeah.
So what eventually, because you named all these things in the beginning that you're president over, all of that. So something happened. What was that shift?
The shift was, I have to say, my family. Right? My family, I always put the mask on, right? When I thought it was getting close to time for people to start coming home, I'd get up, open the blinds, I gotta quick get some dinner, and get things looking halfway normal. Right. And then my husband was praying for me. He prayed over me a lot. His prayers, along with starting to put into practice what I had encouraged others to do. Alexa became my best friend during the day. Everyone would leave, and I would either have Alexa play gospel music or play some smooth jazz. And I would just lay and listen. I began to start meditating. One day I was laying in my bed. I saw my journal and I grabbed it and I started writing in it. And I wrote every day. I started with 3 things I was grateful for. And I have to admit that probably the first week, it was the same 3 things every day.
Oh, okay.
Right? It was as far as I could see. And then the list got longer, or the list would change. But every day I would start journaling about things. I had to think about something I was grateful for because I was continuing to think about what I had lost. Right? And I had the fear of, how are we going to make it? How are things going to go? Are we going to be able to pay the bills? And are we going to be able to travel like we used to travel? And, fear starts to set in, uncertainty set in. But between the prayer, meditation, the music, and journaling, it helped me to stop focusing on what I had lost or what I was afraid of losing. And it helped me focus on what I still had and who I still was as a person, because I started to lose myself in that, because I think my job, my career became part of my identity.
And that's so true. And there's a time in a person's life where they can look back, especially you, in the work that you were doing, and then now you're in this place. Help me or help others see, how did you, like, you said you had your gratitudes and so forth, but what was the difference of working for this corporation and then now sitting here being able to say what you're thankful for and then looking towards the future?
Oh my goodness. Well, let me first do this, because this book right here, Trailblazers, one day scrolling on Facebook, right? Just mindless scrolling. Dr. Tamara was on, and she said she had a vision and she wanted to do a book collab. So she was looking for a total of 10 African-American women across the country to come together and tell their stories. She wanted women who had a story to tell that would impact the lives of other women across the country. So today I want to present this book to you, and it's entitled Trailblazers: Embracing Change, Pursuing Purpose, and Finding Success.
Oh, wow.
So I want to present that book to you. It is a signed copy. But in that book, and my chapter is the first chapter in the book. And in that book, I tell my story, right, of what happened and then how I got out of it, right? Affirmations. I was putting stickies. You hear people talk about stickies on the mirrors, in the bathroom.
Wow.
They were everywhere because I needed to continually remind myself of who God says I am. And from there, I ended up going to a life coaching institute online, and I became a certified life coach. And that purpose was to learn how to help people who were coming in behind me, going through what I had gone through, going through setbacks in life. And I wanted to help them beyond ministry, right? Still to be part of ministry, but really to understand the person, right? Because not everyone has a right relationship with Christ, right? But that doesn't negate the fact that they need help too, right? And so I wanted to be able to reach everyone. And so getting that certification gave me more of what I needed to go along with ministry, to be able to reach and help other people, to be able to walk through that shadow, that valley, right? And so, yeah.
I like that. And I like that you felt that you had to go beyond the experience that you had, that you actually wanted to go and get the education, to get certified. And that's so important. I always feel people should have the authority to walk in whatever they're walking in. And sometimes that does mean education. That does mean that you have to go and learn something before you can just say, oh, I'm going to do this because I've been through it. So appreciate that in you. Also, what can you tell me, what scripture really got you, and maybe there's more than one, but what scripture helped get you through all of this? I know the prayers of your husband, the affirmations, but what about you and your prayer life? Did you see increased prayer for you?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. What do they call it? Much prayer, much power,
Yes.
and true statement. And so I write about this as well in the book. Philippians 4:13 was always one of my favorite scriptures, but gained more meaning to me going through this process, as well as Romans 8:28, which all things work together for my good. And that was one of the things I wrote down. And I had to remember that all things work together for my good, even the setbacks, right? Because this setback that I thought was a setback was actually an opportunity. It was release. It was God saying, now that you've helped countless other people build their dreams, now it's time for you to build your dreams, build the dreams that I've placed in you. And so I looked at it as an opportunity. And those scriptures help keep me grounded in that, even when it feels like sometimes you put something together and it doesn't look like it's going to turn out. Romans 8:28, all things, there. Not some things, but all things work together for my good.
I know that word is, and those are two of my favorite verses as well. And so and this is not one of the questions, but without, sharing any income levels or whatever, the work that you did at the medical institution that you worked at, as far as the amount of money you made and the money that you make now, is it a vast difference, or is that something that's equal? Because sometimes the work, I stepped away from a job, and this is not about me, but I just know that we shared that experience. And while I made a certain amount of money, there is not the same today, but I'm full of more joy. I'm full of more peace. And I feel like this is purpose.
Absolutely. And absolutely. I'm right there. So is my income level where it was when I was in corporate America? Absolutely not. But is my joy where it was when I was in corporate America? Absolutely not. And that's not to say that I did not like my job, because I liked my job. And I had pride in what I did, because people knew that if I said it was going to happen, it's going to happen, right? And if we putting something together, we're not letting anything stop us. It's going to work out the way we planned it,
because you
right?
have the employees that worked with you. They become, for the most part, your family.
Yeah,
we spend 8+ hours a day, with our work teams. And so, they do become a family, and we do miss them. And sometimes you can take that connection even beyond the work, and they can still be part of your circle. I mean, for me, that was the case. I took some of those people with me, and it's almost like I never left.
Yeah.
But I know your organization a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So
So for me, it's a little different, because I feel like a lot of the individuals that I've worked with within that circle are no longer in West Michigan.
Okay.
So they have moved to other parts of the country to continue the work. And so for me, it was just God giving me a different chapter, right? An opportunity to live out purpose and to be able to reach a broader audience of people and to really help transform the lives of others, right? This was a life transforming opportunity for me. And so now I take it as an opportunity to help into others who desire more out of life, right? And who desire something different, to help them to get that. And even with organizations I work with, they set the goals, and I come in and I help them bring those goals to fruition. So
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So at the time of your episode airing, we also talked to another person who left corporate America on her own, and she started her own business. And so for somebody who maybe they were downsized, they were let go, what can you share with them? And I want you to look right into the camera and just give them a word of encouragement of, how they can get past that. And if there's something you can offer them, especially your work that you do, share that.
Okay. I would say to anybody out there right now who is watching, if you are a person who is in a situation where, you felt the gut punch, you felt like someone pulled the rug from under your feet, you felt like, where do I go from here? I want you to know that it is not too late. It's not too late to do something new. This is the time. Sometimes it takes someone else to help launch us into our future. They launch us into our next. And so don't feel fret. Don't feel, what do I do? Don't feel lost. Start to think. I still encourage every one of my clients to journal, right? To put things on paper, to write them out, write your dreams, your desires, anything in life that you want, put it in writing. And then if you're looking for someone to help you do that, again, I am a certified life coach, and I would love to work with you, would love to help you do that. For anyone interested in the book, you can find that book at dralisacarter.com. And you can connect with me at livewellcoaching.net.
Wonderful. Well, I am so happy to have Dr. Alisa here with me. Beautiful, inside and out, and all the work that you're doing in the community. You should be commended for that, because I just see you everywhere, and I see a lot of the hands when you touch something and how it just gets bigger and bigger. So you know what I'm talking about. And so I'm excited to hopefully do some collaborative work with you. And so, so everyone, we want to thank you all for watching this episode where she took that bold move and she walked away from corporate America and started something that she felt was more purposeful. And you can do it too. And we're seasoned women. We're in the last quarter of our lives, and we definitely want to live out life to the fullest. We want to die empty. And so we would encourage you, if that is something that you have a burning feeling that you're doing something that really you're not called to do, is to, check in with Dr. Alisa, and she can help you get through some of those things, especially if you are left where you were removed from a job. And also if you want to just leave like I did, you can do that as well. But there are parameters that you want to have in place before you do that. So again, thank you all for watching this next episode of the Ascend Room Conversation.
Keep it steady. Real steady.